And we're live on the Touchdowns and Tangents radio show. I'm PD Camarillo.
And I'm Kenneth Frank James Berry.
And, well, we're actually not live this week. This is actually a pre-recorded show.
We're voices from the beyond right now.
So, yeah, we're kind of playing a Jedi mind trick, which is actually a great homage to our intro. Mind is playing out tricks on you by the Ghetto Boys. Shout out to them.
Ghetto with a G. ETO.
Yeah, so for those of you who've never listened to us, we are a primarily NFL-focused podcast / live broadcast. Well, more podcasts this week, I guess you could say. But we're
also pocket broadcast.
But we also try to touch on pretty much anything else that comes up: social justice, music, random internet content, and just overall smack talk. So I guess you could say this podcast is somewhere between, I don't know, I like to think we're somewhere between like Dan Patrick and Jim Rowe and Dan Le Batard and like casual barbershop slander and like YouTube comments.
So Black Twitter with a microphone.
No.
Black Twitter with a microphone meets a barbershop.
No.
A business casual brunch outing at work.
Black Twitter meets Pardon the Interruption?
Pardon the Interruption probably got their stuff from Black Twitter, but whatever.
Yeah, so
who knows?
We thank you for listening. You can catch us every week, Thursdays at 8:30 on the goodnewsradiostation.com as well as the mobile app. And after that, well, you can take us wherever you want. We're on pretty much every single major podcast network you can think of.
Spreaker, Stitcher, Podbean, iTunes, especially iTunes, iHeartRadio,
Google Play, TuneIn, Pocket Cast. Wherever you listen to your podcast, you can find the Touchdowns and Tangents show.
We're literally a pocket broadcast because you can literally broadcast us anywhere, including your own pocket, with your headphones in your ears.
Yeah, so keeping it true to format, we usually like to start the show off just by kind of talking about what's going on, and then we kind of go into a more structured open format. But usually we just kind of talk about how our week is, what we're burning on, a take or a tangent. So, KB, you got anything this week?
Well, it was kind of just coming down from all the trades and stuff that happened from last week. But mostly the whole Odell Beckham Jr. Fiasco is really interesting because it started out as like, oh, they might trade him, they might not. Everybody's up on the trade block, but you give all that money to Nate Soldier. You kind of need offensive linemen. He is your best player, and he is coming off an injury, and he won't touch the field. He said it. He's not touching the field anywhere unless he gets a new contract extension, which I think is totally justified. And he should get $20 million because Sammy Watkins got $16 million.
Except for he's coming off an injury, so
Sammy Watkins got $16 million.
And everybody in the fantasy community wants to snuff him for being a top 4 pick and not getting hurt. Obviously, getting hurt wasn't his fault, but still, like, come on, bro. You got to come back and earn your money.
He has earned his money. He's literally had the best artist career other than Jerry Rice, Randy Moss. Like, no one's had a better start to their career. He's had the most receptions in, the first 4 years of her career than anybody. I think he should get $20 million because Sammy Watkins gets $16 million. Just keep that in mind.
I mean, here's the thing, though. He's on a 5th-year option. So
which should really be
So he's not getting paid pocket change. He's getting paid top 10 money of his position. So let's get that straight.
At the time he came out of the draft.
Second of all, he's going to be a free agent. So the reason why Sammy Watkins and why Jarvis Landry got the money they got is because Watkins didn't get his 5th-year option picked up. Landry was a late-round pick, so he didn't even have an option.
He was like a second or third-round pick.
Yeah, you don't have a 5th-round option after the first round.
But Watkins just wasn't elite in Buffalo.
But what I'm telling you is it's a case-by-case scenario. So it's not like Odell's getting pocket change. The fact that Landry and Watkins is making that much money is going to help Odell eventually, whenever he gets his deal.
Because
Whether it's
Sammy
now,
Watkins was getting 16.
whether it's next year when he gets a franchise tag, because that essentially jerks up the whole money. And the $16 million that Sammy is getting is also part signing bonus. So you can't just it's not just
guaranteed money is guaranteed
it's
money.
not just $16 million.
Yeah,
So
but guaranteed money.
he wants $20 million guaranteed a year. He wants Kirk Cousins money. That's what he's asking.
He's better
for.
than Kirk Cousins. He should get the money. As far as the receivers go, it's a pass happy league. And yeah, a lot of they say, "Oh, well, all these great teams don't have number one receivers." Gronk played. I mean, Gronk's the tight end, but he broke the bank at one point. There are other teams that have had number one receivers. It's just they had better defenses. It didn't work
It's
out.
like
The
Aaron
Giants are
Donald.
structured.
It's like Aaron Donald.
Yeah, it's like
It's
saying,
like Khalil Mack.
Yeah,
Right? Both of those guys deserve money before Odell Beckham. Can we agree on that?
No,
Why?
because historically speaking, they've done more. He's done more
No.
than those guys have.
Stop. Stop.
He carried.
He hasn't been a defensive player of the year.
He
hasn't been pretty much. Well,
He
in
should've
Khalil
won
Mack's
rookie.
case, he's the only player on his defense. Aaron Donald
You
had
can't
guys
compare
around
offense
him.
to defense. That's not fair.
That is fair because they're in the same draft class and they're in the same scenario of
And he was the 13th
they're
overall
still
pick, wasn't
they're
he?
still under contract and they still have tags coming up. So
Yeah,
really,
but I'm saying
really,
when it comes
really,
to him getting his money, he should get a baseline $20 million contract.
here's the thing though, and this is what I'm trying to tell you.
Even
is-
if it's let's say 3 years,
here's the thing.
$60 million.
Here's what I'm trying to tell you. These guys don't have leverage. Odell has the least amount of leverage because he
He's a
didn't play
receiver.
last year, and he's a receiver. And as we've talked about before, if you look at history, there aren't a lot of
They don't want to pay receivers.
elite number one dynamic one-of-a-kind receivers that have Super Bowl rings.
Sadly,
I mean, the last one is probably Jerry Rice.
no. There's been more.
And-
Before. Michael Irvin. Michael Irvin was there.
Okay, again, the last one is probably Jerry Rice.
Isaac Bruce won a ring.
Stop, bro.
Yeah, I didn't believe that.
stop
I didn't believe it when I said it.
But, I mean, we saw with Randy, he never got one. T.O. never got one. Calvin never got one. And those are generational talents.
Yeah.
And even if Odell is a generational talent,
His offseason.
if you look at history,
yeah,
it doesn't equate Super Bowls. Then you factor in it's
his
Odell.
his off-field antics. Yeah, the whole cocaine video. Was it France or something like that? Yeah, that's not a good look.
And, like, that's not even a big deal to me because as multiple NFL players, because this thing's been in the news for like a month now, even though we haven't really talked about it too much, is everybody does that stuff. It's just a matter of him putting it out there and him letting it get out there. And I think somebody else said it on the radio this week, but basically it's a matter of can they trust you? Like, it's not even the fact that you're doing it, it's just that you let it get out. So that's not you're betraying the trust of the owners. You're betraying the trust of the investment. And that's where Odell is going to have trouble getting his money. So really, Odell's threatening not to play because that's the only leverage that he has. And if you really want to talk about it, bro didn't play last year. So honestly, him sitting out is just going to hurt him getting long-term money in next season. Because let's be real.
The Giants don't have the money to pay him.
Besides that, are the Giants going to do anything this year?
Maybe.
Maybe, but it's not guaranteed. So, Eli's old. It's like
But also,
you could
Odell.
do with
Odell
or
put-
without Odell, and that's why they're putting him on the block.
Now
That's
they
why
can't
he's.
because they have
That's
a
why.
receiver. He's not really on the block, but they're just saying, yo, anybody can be traded. And the Rams.
No, but they're fielding offers for him, and they said they want 2 first-round picks for him.
At
So,
least.
so he's on the market.
He's worth 2 firsts and a second, or 2 firsts and a third.
My point is, if you do ship off Odell, you're basically in rebuilding mode.
I mean,
So if he doesn't want to play, you're basically in rebuilding mode. So, I mean, as the way I see it, you're already pretty much in rebuilding mode.
I'm really on the side of he should get paid.
Of course,
I don't care where he goes.
Of course, I'm not.
I mean, don't
I'm
go
not
to
against
Tennessee.
I'm not against players getting paid. Like, don't get me wrong. I'm not against that.
Don't go to Tennessee because nobody's career ends up. No receiver who got signed to a big deal worked out in Tennessee.
So, since you brought this up,
and also we got to talk about, speaking of receivers, Zay Jones. We're gonna talk about it.
Go ahead.
I mean,
you go ahead. You brought it up.
They said no charges are at the time. Like, they're not really gonna press charges after he pretty much took synthetic marijuana, allegedly.
Is it allegedly synthetic marijuana, or are you guessing?
That's something. What he was doing.
Okay, so you don't know.
I said allegedly. That's why I said allegedly.
Oh, but is there a report?
He was on a substance.
Okay, so that's different than you saying synthetic marijuana, like allegedly. Like, there's a whole different.
He was on some drug. He was on something.
Okay, thank you. That's a lot more factually correct.
But when we look at the history of people getting naked and doing crazy stuff, and them saying they were on drugs, like the Chandler Jones situation, synthetic marijuana was involved. So,
but we don't know that. For all we know,
that's why I said allegedly, because we don't know.
It could have been PCP.
Whatever he was
it
doing.
It could have been mixing some stuff.
Whatever he was doing.
But that's why you shouldn't imply or even say that it's allegedly spice.
Because I'm pretty sure if he took a drug test, something might come up. Because he was on something. So I'm just saying, that's a possibility. Because players do that. That's a thing that's out there. Now everybody's going to... Who's going to do angel dust knowing they're in the NFL? That's kind of crazy.
I don't know who's going to do cocaine and film it with an Instagram
but like,
model.
There's spice and then there's angel dust. Like, that's a insanely high level.
And that's why it's important to. That's why it's important not to imply either one. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And just say
allegedly
he's on a substance.
It was some type of.
He was on something.
Narcotic, something.
Whatever the vaguer, the better. And if you want to make your own implications, then you make that on your own assumption based off the Chandler Jones history and stuff like that. That's fine. But unless you have a report to be like, oh, he's on that spice, it's like not fair to him. And I'm not, and you know I'm a Zay Jones stan. So
you really are a Zay Jones stan.
I'm not saying that to defend him. I'm just saying let's be fair. I mean,
I mean fair. Like, charges are being dropped. He was mostly a danger to himself because that was it's a long way to fall. But
pretty much,
no charges being dropped. Pretty much,
he probably paid off the hotel.
He probably just paid to have the window fixed.
Yeah, he probably just paid to get the carpet cleaned and
all the blood off and all that stuff. But that hurts the receiver. That hurts receivers all over when things like this happen. Odell's situation, Zay's situation, just because it just creates a stigma like, oh, receivers are divas, and here's why we shouldn't pay them. Because they're going to do something to get in trouble. They're going to fail a drug test. They're going to get hurt. They're going to fill in the blank. That's why it's hard for Le'Veon Bell to get paid, because he has a past, and it's just really sad.
Are you going to kill any of my T's in the top of the show before we even get into the format?
No, I'm good. Go ahead.
Okay, so I didn't really want to start at any of these points, but since you brought it up, I really wanted to talk about the targeting rule, but we can get to that a little bit later.
No,
so since you already brought up the Rams, let's just go ahead and continue on that point.
I didn't really bring up the Rams.
Oh, yeah, you didn't, because you brought up Odell. So I guess I brought up the Rams. Well, in that case, as we talked about before, Odell may or may not be on the block, and teams may or may not have to pay 2 first-round picks for him. So the Rams are rumored to be in that mix, and if you've been following this offseason, dear Angelinos, well, the Rams have been getting everyone that they want, from Talib to Peters to Suh, which we'll get to later. And now I guess McVay has Odell in his sight, and I guess he's foaming at the mouth to get an elite receiver like that. So my question to you is, Odell worth 2 first rounds, and is he a fit with the Rams?
He's a fit really anywhere, just because he's an elite route runner. And